engulfs Middle-earth, whilst war wages in the south. All the cities of Rune are emptied. The great host brings with them mighty war beasts, mercenaries from the south. They march upon Erebor, the lonely mountain. Their strategy to deny reinforcements to Minas Tirith. King Dain has heard word from Gloin of this host, and makes haste in raising what forces he can, even calling upon those of the Iron Hills. Dominion of the North will be decided this day. My lords, the Easterlings bring halberds, catapults, and chariots of war. Also, mercenaries from the mountains, orc spears, swords, and archers. 2 units of warg riders, a unit of mighty southern war trolls, and a unit of mighty war mummuks. Leading the dwarven force, Dain Ironfoot. 3 units of dwarven spears. 1 unit of dwarven swords. A unit of stout dwarven axes. A unit of dwarven battle axes. A unit of mighty dwarven veterans. 2 units of heavy dwarven crossbows. And 2 units of goat riders. My lords, the Easterlings have gathered in great number at the gates of Erebor. Dain Ironfoot's forces have laid themselves out defensively. Although their numbers few and their stature short, their defensive capabilities are not to be underestimated. They are the bulwark of the north. The goat riders defend the flanks, accompanied closely by the spears, the crossbows defended by stakes, and the heavy-hitting and elite troops at the centre. My lords, the Easterlings must think they are mighty indeed if they think they can break this defensive. It seems that the mighty Easterlings have condensed their centre line, wargs to their right flank, closely checked by trolls, their vanguard an Uruk host, supported by halberds and the mighty Mumakil, the left flank chariots and catapults. The gods are amused indeed. The dice of fate decide the order of play. The Easterlings take the advantage. The Uruk vanguard moving first into the centre, spreading out into a battle line. The archers then move forward on their right flank to support the infantry line, with the wargs also moving forward on the right flank to support the archers. The halberds hold the centre, with the trolls closely by. The catapults move into range on the left flank. The chariots move up to support. The towering Mumakil lumber forward. In reaction, King Dain moves his centre line into a brigade. They now move as one. The goat riders edge forward to check the wargs, and also on the dwarven right. The spears also form a brigade, solidifying their left flank. The spear unit on the right edges forward. My lords, it seems that the Easterlings have split their Uruk forces into 3 distinct units. Pulling up their elite halberds to support the centre unit. Spreading out into a battle line, with trolls supporting their right. To party. The Easterling catapults check range and prepare to fire. They have found a target. The Dwarven spear unit takes a direct hit and is forced to pull back. Unfortunately, it has been pinned against the rock face and is utterly obliterated under fire. A sore loss for King Dain. Shaken, the dwarves on the left flank pull back. Dain has summoned a trebuchet to the walls of Erebor. Enraged at the death of their kin, the Dwarven centre charges the Easterling lines. Inevitably, a brutal melee will take place in the centre with the Orcs versus the Dwarves. It seems that the Dwarven goat riders have become impatient and move on the chariots of the Easterlings. The gods are reasonably amused. The goat riders on the Dwarven left fancy a crack at these trolls. I don't blame them. The spears moving close to keep the wargs in check. The crossbows fire upon the Uruk spears, pushing them back, disturbing this lonely tree. The crossbows behind the barricades are also able to push back a unit of halberds. Dain cranks the great gears of his trebuchet, with the mummoks in his sights. The volley is successful in pushing the beasts back, my lords, yet it does not harm their thick hides. These Easterling chariots, however, are having a right time of it, losing half their number and being pushed back by the goat riders' charge, inevitably being killed at the cost of 2 goats and 2 riders. In their blood rage, my lord, they have charged the catapults, fancying their luck, no doubt. The goat riders on the Dwarven left successfully kill a troll at the loss of 2 riders and 2 goats, miraculously pushing back these great lumbering beasts of war. Battle rages on in the centre, heavy wounds being taken on both sides. The Uruks, however, are no match for the might of the dwarves and are pushed back at great loss. The dwarves decide to pursue their adversaries. A new battle line is formed, mere feet away from the elite Easterling halberds. The dwarves once again push their lines forward, crushing 2 units of Uruk spears, killing them. A unit of Uruk spears has sensed an opportunity, charging into the rear flank of the goat riders, now sandwiched between the catapults and the spears. The Uruk archers on the eastern left attempt to halt the spear dwarves' advance and assist the troll in battle. The wargs move up, now unimpeded, ready to take advantage of the situation. A mighty warhorn has sounded and the great Mumakil move forward to the centre to support. The goat riders on the dwarven right have found themselves cut off and enveloped. A desperate melee ensues. The goat riders stubbornly hold their ground, screaming a death cry, defeating those around them, pushing them back at the cost of 2 riders and 2 goats. The dwarven left engage the Uruk archers. Yet again, they are no match for dwarven might and are pushed back. Although there are wounds on both sides, they are utterly annihilated. Yet not without cost in dwarven lives. Ignoring the wargs on their left, they decide to assist in the melee between the goat riders, the archers and the troll. The butchery that ensues is not for a general YouTube audience, so I will not divulge it here. However, I will say that many a spear were covered in the blood of Uruk this day. The Uruk archer unit takes casualties. The dwarves push their advantage. Naturally. Aule lays down his godly hand, rolling good fortune on the dice of fate. Melkor is of course displeased. The Easterling halberds are pushed back and then pursued, and the dwarves begin to envelop.
The wrath of the dwarves is upon me!
The Easterling halberds strike back, causing casualties to the dwarven battle axes at the cost of their own. To the gods, this is all good sport, of course. The entire dwarven centre is pushed back by the crushing weight of the Mumakil. There are wounds on both sides. Will the centre fall into chaos? Is the dwarven advantage lost? Is all lost? Have you seen lost? Good show until the end. The dwarven veterans move in for the kill, met by the remaining halberds and uruks. The halberds are utterly crushed, and the uruks wounded. Even the mighty Mumakil is pushed back. The veterans then move to envelop. These mighty beasts will learn to know fear this day. Both forces are at a stalemate. The Easterlings wish to retreat to gain reinforcements, to come back another day. This will allow King Dain to bring together the garrison of Dale, and the battle will continue. But for now, the Easterlings have a greater number of dead than the dwarves. It is a victory for the dwarves this day. But mostly in the land of the gods, it was dinner time, and the table must be cleared. For mouths must be fed, hands were shaken. If you would like to see part 2, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this day on the Wizard's Brush. There is a massive campaign coming up soon involving the entire of Middle-earth. This is merely a teaser for the things to come. This will include a campaign map, battle maps, and all of the major cities you know and love from The Lord of the Rings. If you would like to support the channel and see updates on this upcoming massive campaign, then you can join us on Patreon, become a Vortexian, and join us in the Vortex. But for now, my lord, I bid you adieu. Goodbye, basically.